It's time for the open house on WHTL.
What are you, some kind of real estate agent?
You're joking, right? I don't joke about real estate.
With the Hansen Real Estate Group.
I never understood why people are so afraid to eat at an open house.
I know.
The open house starts right now.
And it does every Wednesday here on WHTL. We're joined by one of the pros from Hansen Real Estate Group. And today I get to welcome Jacob Lallemont into the studio. Hey, Jacob, good to see you.
Good to see you as well, Mark.
Oh, there you go. Good to see you. And you think we're going to get a little rain? I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, and if you look outside here, it's getting awfully cloudy, and I think there's probably a pretty good chance here.
I think so. Maybe this afternoon, tomorrow for sure. I think tomorrow looks like it's going to be pretty rainy.
Yeah.
Real estate, that's what we're talking every Wednesday here on WHCL. You got kind of an interesting one today. I was looking through some of the notes you made on this, and I like them. I'll admit, I think they're cool.
Me too.
And I don't know how a lot of people think about them, but we're going to be talking about barn-dominiums and pole barn homes.
Yep, that's right. It's definitely a style of building that's gotten a lot more popular recently here, and once again, I like them too. They're neat.
So for people who aren't familiar with what a barn-dominium is, what is it?
Yeah, so you're looking at, a metal exterior, typically, post frame building there. It combines, garage space with living space. So you get, lots of storage and kind of a shop area along with your living area, both for commercial or residential purposes.
So people call them a barn-do usually for short.
Yeah, yep.
All right, and what are the upsides of a barn-dominium?
Right. So, there's a lot of things. Obviously, the big one is flexibility, Mark. So, you have a huge open space, which allows for open floor plans. You got the tall ceilings. A lot of times, depending on how you finish them inside, they're cheaper per square foot than maybe a traditional home build. The structure itself goes up quick there. And once again, just the custom layout freedom there is what's the big deal on them.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, you can pretty much customize them any way you want. And is there an average square footage on a barn-dominium? I mean, they tend to be pretty big, I think. Yeah,
usually tend to be pretty good size. I mean, that's the nice thing about them is you can really make them whatever square footage you need to fit your needs. So.
What are the downsides? We've been talking about the upsides. There's always two sides to a coin. What are the downsides to a barn-dominium?
For sure. So, just a few here and, nothing that can't be worked through. Obviously financing can at times be tricky compared to a traditional home build. Just due to your appraisal, there's a lack of comparables. As they get more popular and more people are seeing them, that's an issue that is slowly going away, but it's still something you want to check with your lender on, make sure that it's something they're willing to do. And of course, whether it's a barn-dominium like this or any build, you got to check your zoning restrictions and everything like that.
Are they kind of considered a cross between residential and commercial? Is that what the problem is?
Well, just, considering them, what is considered a home versus, a shop or garage area,
right.
So getting that aspect of it figured out that it is, going to have living space and it will be a home,
right.
It's just some things you got to look into.
So you said that financing can be tricky. Is there a specific reason that banks are a little leery to finance a barn-dominium?
Yeah, so like we kind of touched on, is just the biggest thing is not being able to find comps. Obviously, whenever you buy or build a property, they're going to want some appraisals showing that it's worth what they're borrowing to you. And like I said, it's a problem that's diminishing as, there's more and more of them popping up. You're running into this issue less and less. But that's the big deal, is just making sure that the bank can verify it's worth what they're lending to you.
That makes a lot of sense. If it's not the most common property and there isn't anything that they can compare it to, it makes it a little bit of a different item for them from a lending standpoint.
Exactly.
Now, do they have basements, most of them?
So most of them are slab on grade. So typically they do not have a basement. So with that, there's just some things to consider. Obviously, we're looking at getting some storms here, and a big thing is a storm shelter in a property, right? So one thing I've seen in these properties, or one-level living properties in general, is people reinforce their pantry, with extra building material, concrete, whatever it may be, to create that storm shelter, which is always kind of a good thing to consider during your build. Storage is another one, being that there's no basement for storage there. Obviously you got the large garage, but sometimes some,
Right.
trusses in your attic you can use for storage. So a few options there. And then obviously you got to find where you're going to put, your water heater, your furnace, that kind of stuff, all your HVAC. Usually getting some sort of little slab poured that's off the grade there, that's just a little bit above. That way you can not worry if there's, water issues or anything like that. God forbid you have that going on. You can keep that stuff raised up a little bit, usually set aside a room in the garage area or whatever it may be, just to make sure that that stuff is protected and safe.
That's a good point. I mean, it's not necessarily common, but, there are homes that are built in this part of the world that don't have basements. And, you've got to think of the contingencies for storms, especially up here in this part of the world. So that's a good thing to think about.
For sure, yeah. And that's, whether it is going to be a barn-dominium or even just a traditional build one-level home, that's something that should be considered.
Can you build one just about anywhere?
So, obviously we touched a little bit on zoning everywhere. So, that's the biggest thing. And that's something we as realtors can help you out with is, we can look into the zoning. You might have to do a zoning switch, which might happen at the county level. You got to make sure you can get it into residential property there, and that might require attending a meeting and might have to show some designs from your builder, whatever it may be. So just making sure that the zoning and everything like that can be taken care of, and you can for sure build one of these homes is a good thing. Obviously, no matter what kind of build you're doing, you want to make sure you have utilities available.
Yep.
Power, that can be a huge cost depending on how close or far away you are from the nearest opportunity for power. Are you going to need well and septic? Those kind of costs. And the big one now, more and more people working from home, is internet has become a big deal. So do you have reliable internet?
Right.
Obviously, how far do you want your driveway? These are all cost factors that you just want to make sure that you look into prior to getting yourself set up and ready to go for a build.
And it could be a good lifestyle, but you got to check into it. And the best way to do that sometimes is talk to a realtor and work through it.
Yeah, no doubt. Your realtor, your lender, your builder, all those guys should be part of your team when you're looking at not only a barn-dominium, but really any property you're going to build. We're here to help, and you just got to reach out.
You've got some really neat properties you're going to talk about here real quickly. Let's run through those. Yeah,
so the first one here, Mark, just a really neat property, and there is actually a little bit of this already zoned residential, so you could build your barn-dominium right here. Between Gilmington and Mondovi on Highway 88, this is a neat about 17.2 acre parcel up for auction right now. It's less than 10 minutes from Mondovi. There's some great areas for deer cover. You got potential food plot locations. There's oak stands throughout providing acorns, so you can really feed the deer. There's great bedding areas. It's a really versatile, small acreage hunting parcel that won't come with that big price tag that, an 80 or 100 acre farm might. But, really neat spot. There's a little small cabin. It'd be easy enough to remove if you wanted to build something there, or it can make a great little deer camp for somebody.
And this is a online auction property. The only way to get it is through the auction.
That is correct. Yep. Bidding on this one ends June 16th. Okay. It's just a super neat property, so it's definitely something you want to check out if you're looking for hunting land or a building site close to Mondovi.
All righty. Check that out at HansenRealEstate.com and HREGroup.com. Easy to set up an account, too. Just work your way through it, put your email in, you're all set up. If you have any problem, just give them a call and they'll help you.
Yeah, without question, we're here to help.
All righty, and what's the next on your list?
Yeah, so this big one we've had up for a while here. So it's a 3-parcel multi-par auction for a total of 160 acres up for auction. Parcels 2 and 3, once again, could be some great building sites if you do want to put up a home or a barn-dominium, whatever it may be. Parcel 1 has a home in the farm buildings. So there's some really neat opportunities here. Once again, that one is up for auction right now. Bidding ends June 2nd, so coming just around the corner here. So it's definitely something, if you're interested, feel free to check it out. We are going to be there tomorrow for an open house from 10 to 2. So
good deal. And then the last one I know is out on Lewis Valley Road.
Yeah, yep. So, if you don't want to build, you want to buy a beautiful home that's already existing.
House.
It is. It's a neat property. You're sitting on 5.73 approximate acres there, right between Arcadian and Independence on Lewis Valley Road. Lots of storage, big 2-car garage. There's a 34 by 46 garage in the back, which is really neat. It's got a full kitchen in it, the whole deal. It's really a must-see property. Gorgeous home, gorgeous landscaping, just a neat setting, and you're right close to Arcadia and Independence.
And the view from that deck is amazing.
It is phenomenal. Just a beautiful property.
I mean, that's worth it just by itself right there.
Yeah, you want to talk about $1 million view, that, this is it, and it's listed at $545,000, so you don't even need to pay $1 million for this one, Mark.
That's a steal.
That's
It really
right.
is. If people want to contact you, what's the best way to do that, Jacob?
Yeah, so give me a call or text anytime at my cell phone number, which is 608-863-3928.
All right, Jacob Lallemont with Hansen Real Estate Group. Who's in next week, do you know?
I believe we have Jamie coming next week.
Jamie. All right. Well, Jacob, always good to see you. Thank you for coming in. Make sure you check out these properties at hregroup.com, and we'll have open house again next week here on WHDL.